So, last week on Saturday, I spoke about the individual characteristic of an object. That when you pay attention to those individual characteristics of an object, say like hardness, softness, warmness, coldness, and all the rising, falling, that's one. Rising, falling, and lifting, pushing, dropping, again and again, when you pay attention to it, then when you pay attention to it or to them, they become clearer to you over time. As they become clearer to you over time, as you notice them clearer and clearer, then the aspect of the second characteristic, we call it the Sankhata Lakkhana, or the formative characteristics, or here, in other words, is the triple characteristics of arising, sustaining, and the ending. Beginning, middle, the end. Now, while the theory says so as the beginning, middle, and end, but as a meditator, as a vipassana meditator, then test 1, 2. Testing. Testing 1. So, during this time, when you begin to pay attention as a yogi, when you pay attention to these objects, you will not see the beginning, middle, and end every time. Sometimes in your development, you will see the beginning are very clear. Sometimes it only shows you the middle, but it doesn't show you the ending or how the beginning is like. Sometimes it only shows you the beginning and the middle, but it doesn't show you the ending. Sometimes it shows you the ending only, but it doesn't show you the beginning. Sometimes it shows you all the three, but it's just only for a period of time, for a period of development, then it disappears again, it shows you the ending only. So, development of vipassana is not something that you can think about. Even you read all the inside knowledge and so on, and yet when you come into your practice, they can be very different from what you think. So therefore, you must be careful. You must be careful as a yogi. You must learn to trust your observation rather than what you have so much in your theory. Yeah. I have a number of yogis who sometimes come to my retreat, doesn't know English. They will sit there for 1 hour or more just to listen to the words only, but they are meditating. Now these yogis, they can able to progress a lot. Why can they progress a lot without understanding of a word that I said? Because if you tell them to do, pay attention, they pay attention. You tell them to walk, they walk. But the more intelligent one, why should I walk? The more intelligent one, is this first insight or second insight? Is this Anicca? Is this Dukkha? And all your intelligence and all your smartness and so on, that becomes your stumbling block. Yeah, it's not that intelligence is no good. It's not that when you're supposed to use it and when you're supposed to let it go. So here is that all the understanding that you have, while you are paying attention to the object, you just keep noticing what is really going on. In the beginning of our practice, In the beginning of our practice, there will be a lot of the thinking, theory, everything will start coming in, and it makes the mind muddled, and it makes the mind difficult for the mind to stay onto the objects. But as you progress, you understand the technique of paying attention, those thinking, those theory and so on, they get less and less and less, and that time you just start paying attention to it much more clearer, much more easier. Then the objects comes in much more obvious, deeper, and in many ways. So therefore, you must learn to trust your observation. You know the technique of observation and so how to pay attention and so on. Then you must fully put the attention there, rather than thinking about it. You're thinking about whether this is anicca or this is dukkha and so on, Of course, not to say that we cannot think about it, But you must keep it minimum. You must minimize it and put it aside whenever you are paying attention to the object of your observation. Now, while this time when you are paying attention, to the arising or passing away or the sustaining, if it comes in that way, you must learn to accept it in that particular way, in that its special way. If it shows you only the middle that is very tight, very tense, then you pay attention to it. You don't go and think about it. How come it doesn't end? Your job is just to see it as it is. Just like that day I talked about pain, unpleasant feelings. Now the first thing of the unpleasant feelings, the misconception about yogis when they have these unpleasant feelings is they want it to go away. They want us to see it go away. That is craving. Now the second misconception I mentioned, that they want to see how it ends. But at certain times, it doesn't show you how it ends. Before the particular pain ends, the next object already arises. So you don't exactly see how it ends. So if you don't see how it ends, this is how you pay attention to it. It shows you that way, you take it that way. So too sometimes the rising and falling, it move kind of like funny way, up, down, this way, that way, and so on. So you must learn to see it as it is. Because the more that you pay attention to it, it will show you even more. And even more objects for you to notice to what is really going on in this mind and body processes. So you pay attention to those things. Now, when you pay attention to this beginning or middle, ending, how the object changes and so on, and it will change in many ways. But as I said, you have not come to anicca, dukkha, anatta yet. Not yet. Not in the true sense. Not in the true sense. But most of the time, everyday use, we use the word anicca, dukkha, or anatta, and so on. For example, after we hear that the rain will pass, it's anicca, nothing is going to last forever. That one okay, it's all conventional usage of anicca. You think that you're going to get older. Oh no, you think, you know that you are getting older, your strength is no more there. You think about it as anicca. You think of it as dukkha perhaps. Yes. Not to say that you are wrong, but you are not fully right either. You're only seeing a small portion of change only. But in the true sense of anicca, you haven't touched it yet also. You haven't even skimmed at the top yet. So now it's only you are using all this anicca, dukkha, is all on the conventional usage only. So all the anicca that you have known And all the dukkha that you think you know is still very much in the surface. It's still very much in the surface. Now, as you develop further, the clear comprehension, the penetrating state of the mind to see what is really going on in the object of the body, then as you pay attention to those objects, the object changes much more faster because of the clarity of the mind. Sometimes we know that yogis begin to explain after some time, they know that the rising, falling, going a bit more faster than usual. Sometimes the process of the pain, changing from one pain to another pain, as if like it's coming much more faster than before. Even sometimes you notice the multiple type of pain come and go here and there, here and there. That is how the object begins to become clearer and clearer to you. During this time, all you need to do is just pay attention to what is really going on, what is happening there. Just pay attention, not thinking and analyzing of what the object is. Just so pay attention to the object. See how the object is like. So, as you carry on further, the object will show you another characteristic. It will show you another characteristic. Here, the third characteristic is called the samanya lakkhana. Samanya lakkhana or universal characteristic. Now only the three universal characteristics of anicca, dukkha, anatta will become evident to you. Will become more evident to you. Now how do they come in? Now this time when you pay attention to the object, any of the object, whether it's mental object or physical object, they will only show you a very fast arising and passing away. Fast arising and passing away. The moment you pay attention to that object, it already disappears. A new one already arises. A new one already arises. During, for example, you're not arising and falling. In the beginning practice, you know this rising and falling as like going forward and backward. Well and good if you can pay attention to it in that way. But at this level, when your mind able to notice the rising and falling, it doesn't even have the form of how the rising and falling anymore. Form in the sense that whether it's up, down, forward, backward, sideways, no more. There's no form. It is only when you pay attention to it, it's just arise, pass away, arise, pass away, arise, passing away, arising, pass away. In a very fast manner. You note the sensation of, let's say, after that, the itchiness arises. The itchiness doesn't show you, here big itchy, small itchy, and so on. All the itchiness will just show you arising, passing away, arising, passing away, arising and passing away. Nothing else. Then when you move to a next pain, the next pain also just arising and passing away, arising and passing away, arising and passing away, arising and passing away. It just shows you that. You ask the yogi what pain you are observing. I don't know. But I know it's just arising and passing away of pain. You ask whether the yogi, whether it got shape of rising and falling or not. No, nothing. It's just arising and passing away, arising and passing away. There's no shape, there's no form. Understanding of form. Even right now, for example, when you do your walking, when you lift up, pushing, dropping, even you don't see your leg also. But you have an idea that the leg is down there, that you are watching down. And then you kind of have a shape of a feet is there. That shape, that form is still a concept. It's still a concept. Yeah. Then, when you pay attention to your rising and falling, how's the rising like? The rising is expanded in this way. The rising is moving in this way. Then if you notice this way, the concept is still there. But it's perfectly alright for a beginner. But during the later stages of development, this concept, this idea of big or small and top or bottom, none. It's just arising and passing away, arising and passing away. All phenomena. You can't also differentiate whether you are noting the mind or whether you are noting the body. Because they are universal this time. The mind and the body shows you the same characteristic right now. Everything just arising and passing away only. And they do it quite a fast manner. They do it quite a fast manner. So, during this time, then you begin to experience the true anicca. You begin to experience the true anicca. But you only experience one aspect of anicca. There are multiple aspects of anicca for you to know. Doesn't mean that because you see one anicca, you see every anicca. Not yet. The vipassana will reveal itself to you further of the deeper insight. So all the anicca that you think that you have, not yet, is still far away until you see arising and passing away. That time also, sometimes you may not know that whether you are sitting in the morning or afternoon or night. Because that time, timeless concept. The time is also concept. Then that time you just pay attention to it. Then the mind gets clearer and clearer. So it becomes clearer. So, every time you sit down, it's only this arising and passing away. But the problem with here is that sometimes when I go to places, I meet with different yogis. And of course, just like you all go to different places to meditate. Alright? Different meditate. You meet the different kinds of instructor or teachers or monks or nuns and so on. Yeah. Now once in a while, I met with yogis who are very clear, very sharp yogis. They can able to see the arising, passing away and so on. Clearly it's coming in already. But the thing is that sadly, the teacher that is guiding the yogi, telling the yogi, hey, this one is not right. Go back to see your rising and falling again. Go back and see your rising. This one is not right. Go back to see your rising, falling. Nothing can be just arising and passing away. Go back to see your rising and falling. So every time the yogi progresses, stopped by the teacher, asked him to go back just to see this rising and falling and rising and falling. And they thought that sometimes these teachers who sit on the chair, they thought that sometimes they have a little practice, just so to speak. When they have little practice, every time you guide a yogi and that yogi begins to improve, you ask the yogi to go back again and again and again. Sometimes you have to undo, to help the yogis to understand this concept a little bit more better. Then when they have the confidence, they have the faith, then only they go further. Lacking of practice, lacking of experience. If you think that you know all about the books, you can learn this meditation from the books, you can understand all the insight from the books, you'll be so wrong. Or any one of us. This one needs experiential knowledge. It needs experiential knowledge. Because this time, the deeper aspect of anicca, of impermanence, begins to express itself to the yogi. So therefore, you must see the object as it is, as they are. But this time you also don't think about whether this is anicca, dukkha or anatta. You don't worry about that. It will come to you sooner or later. But what is important here is that you experience it. Whether you have the name for it or you don't have the name for it, whether this is anicca or this is dukkha, doesn't matter. What matters is that you experience it. It's not a matter of, for example, if it doesn't matter whether you know an apple or not an apple. The most important thing is that you taste the apple. Even you have no name for it, it's perfectly alright. You can call it in Mandarin, you can call it in English, you can call it in Hokkien, you can call it in any other name, but the taste is the same. So too every yogi will go through it. You will see this arising and passing away very clearly if you go further and further into the development. That time, more or less, quite stable, the practice. Quite sustaining the practice. So, you begin to see anicca, samanya lakkhana, the universal characteristic. Because this universal characteristic, it's every object, whether it's mental or physical, you will see this object. You will see this object again and again. Then, in the further development, the vipassana objects will shows you another aspect of anicca. Not just in the rising and passing away, but this time is just the ending part. Every time it just disappear. Every time it disappear. You note an object, very quickly it disappear. How the arising, how in the middle, no idea. But all the time you note it disappearing. And sometimes yogis may think that, siya lah, how am I going to meditate like that? Everything it keep on disappearing. I thought last time I was able to meditate these changes arising and passing away very clearly. But now, the object is keep running away from me. How come? This is the nature of the experience of insight, of the experience of vipassana. It shows you that way, you take it that way. Of course, in the beginning part, the yogis sometimes have felt that, something wrong with the practice. Again, here is where the teachers come in. If not, sometimes the yogi may revert back to just seeing the arising, passing away, arising and passing away. They not want to see what is coming further, So this one, sometimes you need guidance of a teacher to go a little bit more further, to experience all the disappearing and all the passing away and so on. So, when you experience that type of passing away, it's another aspect of anicca. It's another perspective of anicca. So the way of how vipassana shows you the anicca is so much more deeper than what you think as just changing here, pulling, life is changing, life is getting older. Those are very basic anicca. Not to say that you are wrong, but not in the true sense yet. So the vipassana give rise to a very deep insight. If only that you can able to pay attention to them. Yeah? But then other places, when it comes to this anicca thing, or arising and passing away thing, they have sometimes even people have a wrong notion about arising and passing away. Again, I met with one monk in the past, because again, he reads about and he listens to the Dhamma talk about arising, udaya, baya, arising, passing away, arising, passing away, arising, passing away. Wonderful. At least he got the knowledge, But the thing is that when it comes to the meditation, when he do his sitting, or even walking, he begin to chant to himself, arising, passing away, arising, passing away, arising, passing away, arising, passing away, arising, passing away. Walking also arising, passing away, arising, passing away, arising, passing away. In order for the yogi thought that you're going to see the arising and passing away just by repeating the words. Like chanting, Like chanting. Then you thought that you're going to get all the arising and passing away. No need to work so much. That's not the way. That's not the way of how you see arising, passing away just by chanting. It's not going to show you to you, even you sit down here and immediately you're going to come. No. Your mind is not ready for it. Your mindfulness has not developed. Your concentration has not developed. Your wisdom has not developed. This thing, it will not show you. It may show you just for a short period of time, it kind of disappear. But that is not good enough. What I'm saying here is that these yogis, when they have a deeper aspect of sitting, or deeper aspect of retreats, and further into the retreats, they can sustain the whole hour of just arising and passing away. They can sustain on the walking, arising and passing away. Not just looking at just 1 or 2 seconds and then all disappear. This is where the sustainable of observation can last. That's why, as I said in the beginning part, make sure that all the continuity of the mindfulness, you do it again and again and again and again until it becomes habit. Because in the long further process of development of vipassana, it's going to be very helpful to you. There's another part in the world, not to say which country. There's a technique of vipassana. They call it vipassana. Nowadays, you can label anything as vipassana. Whether it's the right one or not the right one, you can label anything as vipassana. Now, in this one method of vipassana, and they call themselves, too bad, Mahasi method also. So this method, when they teach about arising and passing away, so what they do is that they ask the yogi, towards the end of the retreat, 3 days before you end a retreat, 3 days, 72 hours before you end a retreat, you must not sleep. Okay? You must not sleep. You must go on lying down on the bed for 3 days. Then within that 3 days, they give you a counter. Okay, like you go to a counter where the hand press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those type of counter. Okay, so they give you a counter and they ask you not to sleep. So after 24 hours, you keep sitting there. Then for 48 hours and everything in between. So what the technique is that towards the end of that retreat, they ask you to count. How to count? This time, for example, when you sit down, then when you, like this, when you bend down forward, you press 1 time. And you go forward again, you press another time. You go forward again, you press another time. You go sideways, and you press another time. You go the other side way, you press another time. So you press again, press again, press again. So per sitting, they will, then by the end of that hour or 1.5 hours, you're able to see how many of your body bending forward. Now this time already 24, 48 hours, you're already into the meditation without sleeping. Alright? So they use a counter. So, they're going to report to the teacher. They report to the teacher, okay, this particular sitting, I got 60 bending, 60 times. So then the teacher will say that, you see 60 times of arising and passing away already. 60 times of arising and passing away. Next sitting, you see 100 times there, 100 times arising and passing away. You think 72 hours of, even 24 hours you don't sleep, what do you think you get in your meditation sit? Even you sleep 8 hours, the next morning also you become like that. How many times you keep nodding also? And to them, those nodding becomes the arising and passing away. And they call it vipassana. And they call it Mahasi method. And here, you think that, wow, so fast, within like 2 weeks, I can get all this arising and passing away. What for meditate until here right now? This is how in the world are teaching right now. The nodding, your defilements becomes the insight. And this is dangerous. Because a lot of times, here again, people may not have so much of understanding of the method. And this is dangerous. Because this is not so dangerous yet, if you note that nodding, you calculate that, Although you may have a wrong understanding, wrong idea, what is more important, it comes after 48 hours. Maybe before you leave, before you reach the 72 hours. Because of the method, you don't sleep. Then if you sit, then your mind goes blank. Completely blank, completely empty. Enough already, reach already. Your arising and passing away now has turned into a deeper insight, therefore give rise to, they won't tell you it's enlightenment. But they will tell you that you're already in the room already. You don't need the key anymore, for example, you're inside the room. Then you can interpret yourself, because you see the whole mind come blank, clear suddenly, Because at certain times, you don't sleep for a certain period of time. There are certain time of your sitting, the whole mind suddenly become clear and bright. Most of the time you'll be sleepy, but sometimes, a certain time becoming clear, super bright. That is where you begin to think that you are already enlightened. And then here, the teacher will tell you, ho liao, pass, sotapanna already, can go back. Yeah. Luckily, they didn't give you certificate some more. Because in other places, there's some places those who are really listen to a Dhamma talk, listen to a certain chanting only. After finish the chanting, enlightened already. Because you hear the special chanting. Well, you hear the special chanting, then you become enlightened. This thing also we have. And these devotees are so gullible. And these devotees, I know them too. So, you see, a lot of interpretation comes in. Or what is arising and what is passing away. So therefore, my job is to just pay attention to what is going on without all this interpretation. Sometimes all this interpretation, that when you pay attention, sometimes a lot of times you may overestimate your practice. Just because you thought that you just note the arising and passing away, although you are noting it correctly, but you're overestimating, you're over-putting a lot of judgment into your practice. Then you may think that you're already near enlightenment. Also, there are yogis like that. Not to say they practice wrongly, but because of impatience to get out of this samsara. I know, you want to get out of this samsara, maybe because you're getting older, who knows when you're going to die. So you want to quickly. practice. We understand that, But we got to be patient. You need a lot of patience. Yeah? You got to keep on noting because it will show you more and more things. Yeah? So this is on anicca. Yeah? Something on anicca. Yeah? So when it comes to dukkha, when it comes in a deeper aspect of dukkha, you see, in the beginning process of meditation, as you're a beginner in meditation, one of the most strong type of object is the pain, unpleasant feelings. Yeah? And it's going to dominate you for quite some time. And they are part of the development. Yeah, it's part of the development. Yeah? In the later aspect of development, in the further aspect of development, this type of pain will still be there. Not that it's not going to be there. In the past, when I was meditating in the past, many years ago, I thought that after 2 or 3 retreats, the next retreat, no pain anymore. I have an idea. There no pain anymore. Go and meditate. Wow. Now this retreat is so painful. Wow. Next retreat, surely let me finish all my karma. Then next retreat, come back again, even more jialat. The fact that the problem is not with the pain. When we develop into this vipassana meditation, in the beginning part, is because that your mindfulness, your effort is not so strong. You can't withstand the pain. You sit there for 15-20 minutes already, you can't tolerate the pain at all. What more to pay attention to the pain? Yeah? So, we understand that. But as a yogi develops further into the development of the vipassana, is a different ball game. The pain can be still strong and painful, but the mind can sustain on it and able to notice how the pain is changing and so on. That time, the pain is not going to go away, but your mind is not affected by the pain. That is a lot of difference. It makes a lot of difference here. Yeah? So in other words, we can able to notice the pain as they are without the mind gets affected by this way. Yeah? And when you repeat this thing again and again, it's going to be in a way helpful for you when you are in the everyday life. When you are in everyday life, when we deal with a lot of unfortunate events and a lot of unfortunate things happening, you deal with unpleasant people, you deal with unpleasant situations and so on, then because of the training that you may have, the mind is so much more stable. Rather than it goes into anger, it stays in the middle with clarity, with understanding. So in other words, the vipassana, all your noting of the pain here that you pay attention, it can translate into your everyday world, and it can be very helpful to you. Then you'll find that yourself, that many unfortunate situations in life, the mind have a bigger capacity to accept them without falling into anger or dislike or jealousy and so on. Just because you know how to manage the pain when you are in the vipassana meditation. It's all part of the whole changing of the attitude. In the beginning part, when you come in as a meditator, you bring all the wrong attitude and all your this one. That's why you see the pain only, you get annoyed with it, you get angry with it. As the training comes in, the pain is still there, but the mind has changed. The mind is more accepting, more open, and more able to see. So too when you're out there, it will happen also. It will translate that into our everyday life. That you become much better in all the unfortunate situation, people and so on, that you can able to tolerate better. You don't fall into their anger. You don't fall into their sadness. You can able to see things much more openly. So, as you begin to understand dukkha, but this is just only one aspect of the dukkha, because in the deeper aspect of dukkha, it doesn't come in all the time as pain. Because even right now, with the rising and passing away of the abdomen, let's say you're paying attention to the abdomen, and the abdomen is changing fast and so on. In the past, you take note of this object as a very neutral object. It doesn't give you happiness, or neither it give you sadness or unpleasantness. Just like every time you pay attention to all your rising and fall, no problem. You can able to notice it through. But this time, sometimes it gets very difficult. Every arising and passing away, you felt that, ayo. So, although it's still moving, but your heart, your mind, you feel it is very cramped, very narrow, very tight, and so on. But when you don't pay attention to it, everything okay. Nothing. When you pay attention back again, then you become tight and tense and unpleasant. Then you stop meditating, okay. Nothing. It shows you that when the attention is put there, the whole aspect of the dukkha is arising. And it shows you a window of time that you begin to see the deeper aspect of dukkha that comes with impermanence, that comes with arising and passing away. So when sometimes the Buddha says, impermanence gives rise to dukkha, this is where exactly you begin to see how the arising and passing away, with the arising and passing away, you feel the unpleasantness of things. Even it's just a neutral object. And in every aspect also that you pay attention to it, it feels dry, it feels very, sometimes you feel very fearful, sometimes you feel very, how do you say, jelak, until like you keep on noticing the same thing all over again, you feel like, ayo, that type of mentality, so, all this is a different aspect of dukkha. Even you sit down there, at sometimes the certain thoughts of your past thoughts, it gives rise to, you're happy because you were there somewhere, you were happy, But this time when you meditate, that particular thought come in, and you see the arising and passing away, that happiness also becomes, really unpleasant. How is it so? Because that is the nature of dukkha. When we begin to see the true nature of dukkha, all this impermanence of your happiness are really dukkha. But this time the dukkha is more on a deeper level. And then another level of dukkha is go even more deeper level, when everything that you notice which is neutral, everything which is connected with the neutral feelings, any arising is dukkha. It arise, you feel the dukkha. It disappear, gone. Arise again, disappear. That means within a second, let's say about 3 or 4 arising and passing away, 3 or 4 dukkha, you experience it also during this time. So 1 hour you sit. So many types of dukkha that you're going to experience during this time. So the dukkha comes in much more deeper than your buttock pain here lah, and the neck pain there lah, your head pulling here lah. I do think that you see all the dukkha in the world already, in this body already. Wait, you just wait. You just wait. It will come to you, the deeper aspect of dukkha. Now, in this part of this dukkha, sometimes yogis dare not want to see this dukkha. Because it's difficult to see. Our desire for happiness, our attachment for happiness is very strong. Sometimes yogi comes to this partner, that's it. Roll up the carpet, pack the bags, and let's go back. Because it's fearful. Yeah. It's difficult. So don't underestimate this rising and falling and so on. And for some yogis can be very impactful. So if the yogi have the confidence, if the yogi trusts the Buddha, if the yogi trusts the Dhamma and the Sangha, if the yogi will keep doing the practice, keep having courage in noting, then all the dukkha, it's not going to pass. You'll be more accepting of it. You're much more accepting of it. You're much more able to see it as it is. Then, therefore, the progress goes further. If you cannot notice this dukkha, it's going to be very difficult. At certain times, the dukkha comes in even in your walking also. Even in your eating also. The moment you start chewing, you're sian. You feel very difficult. Not because of the food, but because of its experience itself. Even you walk, so on those days you walk lifting, pushing, dropping, no problem, very nice, very pleasant. But this time the moment you start noting, ayo, here pain, there pain, here tension, here arising, passing away, everything, you just feel so difficult. But you still have to walk. You have to go through all those things. Yeah. So the dukkha is deep. It's only when it's deep, it can shake your desire. If it's not deep, every day you think that every day lah, happy or not every day, happy. Family happy or not happy. Chia. After finish, go back, chia, happy. And then you keep on going life and like that going life like that. That's where you stay in the ignorance. So, the dukkha has to go deep in order to shake our attachment to all the pleasantness of life, to see the true nature of the mind and body. But it will go a little bit more deeper, especially when it comes to the anatta part. When it comes to the anatta part, sometimes, the anatta part, the true aspect of anatta, is sometimes it's very vague for us to understand what is anatta. The between I and non-self. What is an I and what is non-I? The I here, wa, all the I, you, him, they, and so on. All these are construct of a mind, concept of a mind. The mind made it, but it make it so real for you to see that there's an I in me. It's very hard sometimes to give you a non-self talk, but you will perceive those talk with self. Yeah? As if like you want to see something through, but it's always a filter there. The filter is always there. It's hard for you to penetrate through. Yeah? But nevertheless, there is a understanding of this non-self actually occur when there is an insight develops. Yeah? When you develop, 2 days ago I mentioned, you begin to see this is a mental process, this is a physical process, and you can able to separate them. You see the rising and falling, you see the mind that pays attention to the rising and falling. You see the lifting, pushing, dropping, you see the mind that pays attention to the lifting, pushing, dropping. You see a segregation of things. When you can able to see that, it is a part of non-self coming in. One aspect of non-self, the perspective of non-self is coming in, but it's on a very light level. It's not very clear yet. What you experience right now is body and mentality, the noting mind. You don't see a third aspect, the third entity of an I there. It's just two right now. So, in the beginning part, you've already seen the non-self. But it's on a very light level. Then, as you practice further, you notice, and then you begin to see the true nature of the intention. How the intention arises, then the leg move. Then how the intention arises, the hand moves. Then how the intention arises in multiple aspects. Just say, for example, in a one hand moving, there's intention arises, movement, intention arises, movement, intention arises, movement. You see a number of intention is happening during this time. When you see this cause, effect, you also see into the non-self. It's part of the non-self perspective. So that's why, as I said, in the beginning part, notice the intention. Don't underestimate this small little intention that you pay attention to. And sometimes, as I said, you note the seeing, hearing. Because sometimes, if you pay attention to it carefully, you notice that there is a certain sensation, for example, in the hearing. Then, the next thing you may notice that the thoughts that's coming up. Then if you pay attention, sometimes you can see the joy that comes up together with that particular thought. Then you begin to see, this thing arises, this thing arises, this thing. Dependent origination. One thing is dependent on another thing, then you begin to see what is happening there. With this observation, you also see into the non-self. Another perspective of non-self. So every now and then, all this non-self aspect is already coming in. But you may not know it as non-self. But you thought that this is just a very common thing. But it's part of the whole perspective of non-self. But as you go into the deeper aspect of anicca, dukkha, anatta, the later part of anatta is even more clearer of non-self. Because it dependent on this anicca and dukkha. Then the non-self become very evident, very clear. In the sense that, for example, you see all this arising and passing away again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And all the dukkha that comes together with it. Every time that you pay attention to this, you see that sometimes a certain condition affect this thing. This thing arises. Because of this condition, this thing arises. Because of it, keep on arising. Because of it. Then you see all the relationship again and again and again and again. Non-self. Or, sometimes, some yogis able to notice a bit more further. For example, right now, when you see this arising, let's say you're rising and falling. Rise and fall. Then it goes sideways a little bit. It goes up, down, go forward, backward, go to the side. This time, for example, when you notice it, you just notice it the whole prospect. You know the whole aspect of it only. But when the non-self become clear, the mind already know which direction the rising is going to move. It's already know it's going to go straight. The mind already tell you it's going to go straight. But this time in the beginning part, you cannot see it yet. Because the mind is very subtle. Then you want to go to the sideways. The mind knows that it's going to go to the sideways before it arises, it goes into that particular segment. If it's going to go round, the mind is already knows that it's going to go like that. Just a few milliseconds before it happens. So the mind already knows that all this movement is not caused by I. Everything is made up, is already intended by the mind. Already intended by the mind. Mind is the forerunner of everything. When it says forerunner of everything, exactly, just before you want to move your finger, the mind already knows. Just before even the rising and falling is moving, it's already know. Just before you want to take an in and out breath, the mind already. Before you want to blink an eye, the mind already knows. So when you see all these processes again and again, repeatedly again and again, where is the I? Everything is just cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, in a very fast manner. Until you can able to unravel to see the true nature of things as they are. Yeah. So this one is a characteristic of the objects. Yeah. The triple characteristic of an object. Sometimes you see this, sometimes you see the dukkha, sometimes you see anatta, sometimes you see dukkha again, sometimes you see anicca again, sometimes you see anatta. It's just come and go, come and go. Your job is just to keep on paying attention to what is happening. Because if you're able to notice in this way, clearly in this way, then the realization of nibbana will take place. Without this noticing what is the true nature of things as they are, nibbana is not going to be clear to you. You're not going to be able to realize what is nibbana is all about. Nibbana is already there. It's only it takes the mind to see it only. A special type of mind to see it only. It's already there. If you're a deaf person, you cannot hear because the object when it comes in, you can't pick it up. If you're a blind person, when you can't see because you don't have the right condition for you to see. So too, nibbana also the same thing. It's already there just because that right now the mind is muddled, the mind doesn't have a proper type of consciousness, therefore you cannot see those things. So, for the arising of this consciousness of nibbana, then next time perhaps we can talk about it. What is important right now for a yogi, before we leave, what is important for a yogi right now is to keep on paying attention. Make the effort, keep on paying attention and keep on noting and noting and noting and noting and noting. Don't worry whether it's anicca, dukkha or anatta. It will come to you. All you need to do is walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit. Everything I talk about come back to same thing. Walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit, walk, sit. All your answers lie inside there. Okay? So we stop here for tonight. Tomorrow we will continue another talk.